Just being creepy. So this would be Thursday, September 13th, my regular class. So if you're in my advanced class, you should not be watching this video. You have a whole different video. If you watch this one, it'll just confuse you and make your hair bleed. So make sure you're watching the correct one. Those of you watching the regular one, yay, we miss you. Stop being dead. All right, back to here. There's the handouts that are here you can get from my website, so make sure you can grab them from there if need be. Tomorrow's our book report reading day, so bring your book report book, and we can work on the project. You have 2 entries to put in there, one for short stories and then one for alphabet phrases. This one's a homework and that one's a bell work. That's going to go on page 50, and that's going to go on page 12. All right. Then, those of you playing at home, you're going to have to do 2 things at once. Watch the video and this next part. Those of you who are playing the live game, here's where your iPad comes in. And you're going to open it and go to my website, and I'm going to show you how to get to the homework. On the homework, you're going to go to where it says my website, and then go clicky clicky homework files, and then go clicky clicky short story handouts, and then go scrolly scrolly down the one that says story homework number 1. So this is where you have iPad, and we're then looking at stuff to try and help you get there to make future years' life a little bit easier. It's going to require a little bit of scrolling until you find a part that says story homework number 1. There's a little button. You just tap it, and it's going to open up for you. Tommy?
There's a problem with my iPad.
Yeah, probably. What's up?
Tommy and Marty.
Those.
Where's it down?
You tap a button, and it opens up for you. Scroll down. There's a part that says story homework handouts.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Nicely done.
Oh, yeah.
Can you help me?
Naomi, are you able to help him? Good job, Naomi. Do you need help also, Lacey? Naomi, to the rescue.
Wait, can I help Lacey?
Sure.
Yay!
Tati, to the rescue.
Yay!
Good rescuing. All right, so now you should have a sheet, a thing that looks like this, except you're not going to have the green arrows because I added that to mine. But yours should look like the rest of it. You should be on the right one. If not, you clicked on the wrong one. So once again, the one that says story homework number 1. Are we having issues? Do we need to send Naomi to the rescue again?
Yes.
Oh, so many rescuing.
Tati to the
Oh, I got
rescue.
it.
I sent Tati to the rescue.
It takes a village to raise a set. All right.
Yeah.
So now, here's how the actual homework is going to work. You're going to take a look at it, and there's 3 options on there. Mr. Brovicast, that's so much work. There's so much. I know. You're not doing all of this because of the magic word option. Option means choice. You get to choose which of the 3 options you want to do. So you don't have to do all 3. If you do them all 3, you get extra B points for doing extra work. Or you could just choose one option, and that's fine. 90% of you, most of you, are going to do option 1. It requires the least thinking and is the easiest to understand. Option 2, you can do instead. If you don't like option 1, you can do this one. Option 2 requires you to be imaginative and put a little bit of thought into things. I'm already out. In that case, you don't do option 2. Option 3 is only for smarty smart kids because you have to do well on the quiz to make that an option. So I'll go through and explain them to you. Option 1. On option 1, there are 12 questions. You are going to answer 10 of the 12 questions. You don't have to do all 12. Because I create my own homework, I set it up where you can skip 2 questions. Because back in dinosaur times, when I was a kid, I wanted to be able to skip questions. And now that I get to create my own homework, I make it so you can skip 2 questions. So find 2 questions you don't like, and you don't have to do them. You do the other 10, and you are good to go. Can we do all 12 questions? You can. It gets you extra B point. But that's up to you. For others of you, you're more for skipping. Can I skip all the questions? Sure. That's called taking a 0. And then I get to torture you and beat you with a stick. So you have all kinds of choices open to you. There are 3 stories the questions are going to be about. Voices, the one we're doing now. The one we did on Tuesday about robot teachers. And then the one called The Fun They Had. Mr. Brovicast, I think I was absent for that one. You weren't, because it's on your desk right now. It's the one you just picked up off of my desk. It's the story you're going to have to read all on your own. What I'm doing is teaching you skills. I'm teaching you how to figure out characters, setting, plot, point of view in a story. Then I give you a new story that you have to read all on your own. And you're going to have to figure out the character, setting, plot, point of view in that story. So the fun they have is the story you're going to read with your own brain and then try to figure out.
Mr. Brovicast, I've already lost that piece of paper or ate it. What should I do?
In that case, I've already planned for your stupidity because my heart is huge. Put your finger on the homework and then go, woo, and scroll down. And then go, wee. The story's at the bottom of the homework because I planned on some of you to be slackers and lose it. So that way you just scroll down and the story is automatically there. So you have paper copy and digitally copy because my heart is so humongous. So you can't do the homework until you read the story. So read story, then you can do the homework. For most of you, you can stop paying attention now because you're not going to want to do work and you're not going to be smart enough to do down here. So you can just go ahead and tag out and stare at the wall and drool. For those of you who have creativity, I'll introduce to you option number 2. You can choose this one instead. If you do 2, you don't have to do 1. You can skip all those questions and jump straight down here to creativity. If you've ever heard of an acrostic poem, the acrostic poem is where it has like a word, and then each line of the poem, like you do like your name, like Broviac, and B is like big and awful, and then R is like really cool. Same thing. I'm giving you letters. The letters THEFUNVOICES. So those are the letters you have to use. For each letter, you're going to come up with a phrase that describes our stories. You just have to be creative, come up with a phrase that describes them in some way. Like for T, you would say, the boy wakes up screaming from a dream. That'd be T. For H, he sees white lights while sitting in science class. And then E, everybody stares at him as he goes walking down towards the nurse. So you're just telling me things that happen in the story using those different letters as you go through. You have to go through and do 4 lines about that one, 4 lines about that one, 4 lines about that one. Simple as that. The only tough part is you have to have at least 6 words in each line. So you can't be like a big old slacker kid that just puts down T, the, H, he, elephant. No. So you have to make sure you actually have enough information so I can tell what you're doing. So you can do that one or this one.
Mr. Brovicast, can we do both of them?
You can, and that gets you more B points. If you do both of them, it gets you a bonus 3 B points. If you do both of them and all the questions, you get another B point. So you go up to 4 B points for doing both of them. And then, option 3. This was an idea that was given to me by students. And they said, hey, if we're really smart, can we just not do the homework? I said, well, I still want you to prove you're responsible. So how about we find a way to compromise? And this was my compromise. If you're smart and you get a 21 or higher on your quiz that's coming up on Monday, you can just tape your quiz into your notebook. You take the quiz in, you don't have to do the letter thing, you don't have to do all the questions. You just take the quiz in and that's it. That's your proof to me that you're smart and you paid attention. Simple as that. The trick is, there's directions in there though. And most kids who choose this option take a 0 on it because they can't follow directions. Most kids who choose this one take a 0 on it because they can't follow directions. Most kids who do that one are fine because there's only one direction. Write complete sentences. So you get to pick what level your brain works for.
Mr. Brovicast, can we do all 3 options?
You can. And that gives you even more B points. Because you would get 3 points for that bonus option, 3 points for the other bonus option, and then you can do all 12 questions and get more points and get like 7 points for your homework if you wanted to. It's all completely up to you. One last thing to help you out. On option 1, I create my own homework. I also create my own quizzes. Because of that, I'm human and I'm lazy, which means I used a lot of the same questions on my quiz that were in the homework because it made my life easier. So if you do the homework, you are going to know some of the questions on the quiz. Not only that, I will let you use your homework on the quiz. So if you do the homework before it becomes time for the quiz that comes due, then you can pull out your homework and just look at your own answers and cheat off yourself. That's called rewarding the responsible kids. And I can guarantee some of the questions are the same because I wrote both of them. And I'm lazy because I'm a human. So, best way they can try to help you out from there. Oh, by the way, when is the homework due?
We have no idea because we didn't pay attention on the other screen.
That's very honest of you. That's very honest of you. Not due until next Wednesday. You have almost a week to completely forget about this.
Mr. Broviak, that's like 20 minutes of work.
Yeah, it is. I'm giving you a week to get 20 minutes of work done. And then next Wednesday when it comes due and you go,
I did nothing.
I'm like, well, now I get to torture you and be all kinds of awful to you. So hopefully that helps you out. So quiz Monday, homework due Wednesday. Questions over any of that.
Yay.
Now, you can clear iPad away. I'm done with that.
Whoopity.
Now you're going to turn to your bell work. Our bell work is going to be practice for option 2. So to help you get ready for this, we're going to practice doing it once. So this one's called the alphabet phrases. And we're going to see how well we can practice doing it together. Alright, here's what you're going to do for the bell work. You get to pick any letter of the alphabet you want. You pick whatever letter you want to start with. And you're going to take that letter and the next 4, and you're going to write them going down the page. We're doing our acrostic poem, which is with 5 letters of the alphabet. So me, I like my name, Broviak, so I picked B. So I did B, C, D, E, F. You pick whatever letter you want. If your name starts with an L, you can do L, M, N, O, P. If you want to start with a T, you can do T, U, V, W, X. You pick whatever ones you want. Go ahead and write down letter, skip line, letter, skip line, letter, skip line. Your sentences. You are going to be describing your book report book. Telling me what's happening in your book report book so far.
Mr. Broviak, I'm only 2 pages in.
Well, then you're writing 5 things about those 2 pages.
Mr. Broviak, I've not read mine at all. I'm not even sure where it is.
Good job, responsible kid. For you, instead of writing about your book report book, you can write about a different book that you've read. And that's fine, because this is just practice to help you out.
Mr. Broviak, I've only read the book Hop on Pop.
Well, I'm surprised you're still in this class. But if you're going to do Hop on Pop, then tell us about that pop and how we hopped on it. So you're going to be able to figure out what letters you're going to do from there. Here's a little thing to help you out, though. Like for me, I did The Hunger Games, because I love that book, because it's about kids dying. Just touches me right in my heart. And so I did B, before her sister was taken, Katniss volunteered. C, crazy mutations tried to kill her and PETA. D, death is all around them while they're in the arena. Then E, every kid in the scene must take part in the reaping. F, I left blank as an example. So let's say for F, I can't think of a word.
I'm like, I can't think of anything. No words start with F. This is impossible.
If you can't think of a word, come up with a word that has the letter F in it, and I'll count that. So if you can't start like, even though like failure starts with an F, I can't think of one. After has the F in it. So I could say, after they kill the last person, her and PETA eat berries. And I would count that, because you're putting an F somewhere in the word.
Can we do that for every letter?
Sure. Just write the letter really big so I know what letter you're doing throughout the whole thing. Because I'm more worried about you being creative and thinking and connecting it to a book than I am about the letters. So my goal is, can you follow directions and then make sure the connections work? Seth.
Why is the speaker making that noise?
Because it's on over here so I can use it during our story. Because we have creepy voice time coming up. Lacey.
Can we copy that?
Sure, I'll go ahead and give you a 0. That's fine. Yes.
Can we use our book while we're doing it?
Yeah. The drawback is we're not reading about Corvette Girl because time-wise, I'm going to try and give you less homework, which means I need to finish our Voices story. The good news is I'll let you work on this while I'm doing our Voices story. So you can sort of do both at the same time. Plus, this is not due until tomorrow. We're going to start tomorrow's class talking about this. So if you have to finish it tonight, I'm sorry you gave yourself homework. But tomorrow we're going to start class calling on you to see which ones you came up with to try and help you out from there. So it's not due until then, and you're more than welcome to work on it while we cover our story. Nib.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Sure, not in here. It gets messy, but that's fine. Points.
How many?
2. You're down to 9.
All right.
Okay. And then, Lacey.
Does the phrases have to be in order of which the book went?
Solid question. I meant to answer that, and the answer is no. You can jump all around, that's fine with me.
Really?
Yeah. If your first letter is B, and you're like, bomb goes off and kills everybody, book ends. And then letter C can be, children run around hugging people at the beginning. That's fine with me. As long as you're making the connections, it does not have to be in order.
Can I look up somebody's name?
That's fine. I have no problem with that. Go for it. Speaking of names, let's take a look at Addie's question. Addie! Never mind. I'll ignore you, Addie. And then back to here. Speaking of names, we're going to go through and talk about the voices, and I keep trying to train you to get you guys ready for the quiz. In the voices, who is our main character in the story?
Someone. Sam.
Sam. And we technically have one other character he's had a conversation with.
Trevor.
Kind of. I'm not sure Trevor's done a whole lot. Teacher, I would definitely count. He's definitely had a conversation with her. I think that her name was Larks or something. But he's definitely had a conversation with her. Trevor, they kind of like just stare at each other a little bit. See from there, that's the characters. And then setting. Where does our story begin? Lauren?
In Sam's bedroom.
In Sam's bedroom. And then it jumps to a new location. And what's the new location? Lauren? In school. Specifically what class?
Science class.
So this is where it becomes a horror story, taking place in science class. And then for our when, from that part, when is our story taking place? Naomi. Time of day. I put you on the spot. It was awful. We'll come back and pick on you again in a moment. Don't you worry. Liam!
First period.
In science class, it does take place first period. I would definitely count that. Tati?
It takes place in the daytime.
It does take place in daytime. We get a bit more specific in there, but I would count that. Tati?
Wait, 5 a.m.?
I would count 5 a.m. also.
And...
Yes?
Can I go look again my book?
Sure, go for it. And Turner.
9.
9. Well, good job. You know your points. You're at 9. Let's see. So there we have the time, first period, and that. Plot-wise, what wakes him up? Scary dream. What was his dream about?
The voices in the car crash.
The car crash.
Car crash. I'll forgive you this time. And then before he falls back asleep, what happens to him?
Voices come back.
There's the voices come in. And what is it the voices are talking about?
Death.
Death, because that's always fun. Then we go to science, and he has a new issue in science. And what's the new issue in science? Did you say comacy? The seeing, yes, with the eyeballs and the white light and stuff like that would work for me. And then this with the eyeballs, the white light, can't see in science. She's gonna say, and then I think the voices come back.
Yeah.
How many voices do we have?
2.
2. Are they still talking death at this point?
No.
Like they're coming.
They're all dead, so we do have still some more deathing into it. And then, we also defined foreshadowing. And what is foreshadowing?
Clue.
Nicely done. There is a good chance many of you are going to start figuring it out in the next 2 scenes. There's like 3 scenes left. For some of you, this next scene is like, oh my goodness, and you'll figure it out. For others of you, it'll be the scene that takes place in math class. And for others, it won't be till the very end. When you figure it out, don't ruin it for other people. Let them have their learning moment too. All right. Then, jumps to a new scene. Man, Trevor said at lunch, you really had us freaked out today in Larks' class. I thought you were going to go all psycho on us or something. Your eyes were all like flipped out. The way you kept talking about dead people and stuff, that was spooky. Are you sure you're okay? Sam looked up from his sloppy Joe and gave his friend a smile. Excuse me. I don't know if you'd say, I'm okay. I'm feeling better at least. This morning's really sucked, Trev. I don't even think I could put into words how messed up it's been. He took another bite of the sandwich and chewed slowly, looking at his plate. Are you going to try? Sorry, hiccups. Back. There you go. Are you going to try? The question coming from his friend. Try what? Oh, sheesh. To explain it to me, Trevor said in an exasperated tone. I haven't spoken with you since Mrs. Larks took you to the nurse. You say weird stuff has been happening. Well, what kind of weird stuff? Well, voices for one thing. I've been hearing voices, apparently from people that aren't there. I can hear them just fine, but I seem to be the only one. Wow, voices. Really? That's kind of cool. I mean, that's like full-blown crazy person stuff. I've never known a real crazy person before. Sam looked up at his friend in time to see him smiling. It's not funny, Trevor. It's really scaring me. And there are bright lights going off in my eyes. It's like I'm looking at a light bulb with only one eye. It doesn't hurt, but it's weird and it's creepy, and I don't like it. I want it to stop. And you're bleeding, Trevor said. Nah, Trev, it's all been in my head so far. I haven't actually been hurt or anything. No, man, you're bleeding, Trevor said excitedly. Check out your arm. What? Sam asked and looked down at his right arm. Trevor was right. There was blood coming out of the crook of his elbow. It seemed to be quite a bit of blood, too. What the? Sam exclaimed while swiping at his arm. The arm tingled now, and it felt funny, but it didn't really hurt. You guys know where the crook of your elbow is? Not the outside. The crook is the inside. So there's that little bendy part. It just started like, started shooting out blood. He grabbed some napkins off his tray and wiped at the blood. He saw it was coming out of a small hole on the inner bend of his elbow. It was right on the vein. It was like the vein had just opened up and started shooting blood out on its own. What's wrong with it? Trevor blurted, and then asked more quietly, is there anything I can do to help? Yeah! Give me your napkins and go get a large Band-Aid. What's wrong? Sam spun in his chair to see nobody near him. Who said that? Stop fighting it! A much stronger voice resounded on his other side. He quickly looked to the side of the new voice and saw the same sight. Nothing. Losing him. The soft voice again. It sounded, what was it, anxious? Worried? He wasn't sure, but it didn't sound good. Falling. A new voice this time, but what was falling? Sam thought he missed the beginning of whatever it was the voice said. Then it bothered him. Something important was falling, and it seemed to involve him. So new location. Where is he now? At lunch. And we have an official new character. And who's our official new character? Trevor. And we have a new issue for Sam, and this new issue is?
He's bleeding.
From?
His
Right there. Also just like made a little fountain. It started shooting out, and he was freaking out and slapping it. And the voices are no longer talking about death, so that's something. What are the voices talking about now?
Falling.
Falling was part of it. And also another thing, too.
Fighting.
Something about fighting. Lacey?
Are you still videotaping?
Yeah. So now we're going to jump to a new scene. And this is the one for a lot of you. Things are going to start. Some of you are getting ideas. This next one, for a lot of you, is going to lock in. And you're going to have that moment of learning. So we're going to see it, but don't give it away. Because there's one more scene that'll help wrap it up for the rest of the people. He didn't know any of this. Sam looked at the math test again and sighed. All that studying he had done, and it was no help. None of these questions made any sense to him. It's almost like it was written in a language he couldn't understand. He looked at the first question and rubbed the bandage on his arm. Stupid thing still hurt, wouldn't stop bleeding. It had been bleeding for almost 2 hours now. A stupid, slow trickle that didn't seem to stop. Sam snuck a quick peek around the room to see if anyone else was having trouble with the test. No one else was looking up. They all seemed to be writing furiously. All right then, Sam said quietly to himself. I studied. This should be easy. Let's try the first problem again. See how to get the square root. Not gonna make it, said a loud voice just above his left ear. Oh, not again, Sam moaned out loud. Make the voices stop. Tell me who you're talking about. You're driving me crazy. Sam finished his rant in a voice loud enough to nearly qualify as a shout. Well, Mr. Tynes, talking during a test will drive me crazy, his algebra teacher, Mr. Finns, told him. I've heard you've had a rough day, Samuel, but please keep quiet during the test. Shock him! The voice was louder now and almost seemed angry. I'm shocked! I'm shocked! Sam shouted back at the voice. This whole freaking day has been shocking. I don't want any more surprises. If you want to really shock me, try leave me alone. Yeah, that would shock me. Mr. Tynes, I am shocked also. I am shocked that good students such as yourself would behave like this. That is quite enough. I will not have an outburst like that in my class. Especially... Clear! The voice drowned out Mr. Finn's last few words. The voice was insistent this time, almost yelling, but not sounding like it was directed at him. Sam stood and looked around the room. Is what clear? Nothing is clear. I don't understand any of... The pain that suddenly shot through his chest knocked him off his feet and dropped him onto his butt. His heart and lungs and chest had just simply exploded. His eyes swam with the pain. His buzzing fingertips reminded him of the time he electrocuted himself screwing in the light bulb in his attic. He slowly looked down at his chest to see how big the gunshot wound was. It had to have been a bullet. Nothing else could have hurt this much. But there was nothing. No blood, no hole, no bullet. Just intense pain. It hurt so much he could do little more than sit there with his mouth open and gawk at his own uninjured chest. No response! The voice yelled at him. What the Jesus? Sam thought. What do you mean no response? What kind of response did you want? It had knocked him off his feet. It made his chest explode. He felt like he was dying. Clear! The voice bellowed at him. No, it's not, squeaked Sam in a whisper. I don't know what you want. How can it be clear? Who are you? Why are you doing this? Another explosion of pain blasted his chest. He could actually feel his body jerk and jump as something like electricity shot through his entire body. His vision blurred, and he could see the classroom and the stunned expressions of his classmates and teachers as they melted into the whiteness that was surrounding his vision. His hearing seemed to fade as the classroom sounds dissolved. I'm dying. So this is what it's like. Why? Why did they have to kill me? What did I do to them? Stable, he heard the soft voice tell him as his consciousness blinked out. And there's one more scene coming. Out of curiosity, how many of you have a pretty strong idea you think what's going on? If not, we'll see if the next scene helps you wrap up. The next scene is not on your paper, but it is on my website. So you can download it later and get a chance to read it.
What?
Sam awoke and saw a white room he didn't recognize. He could smell disinfectant. He heard the voices of people far away, maybe in a hallway. He tried to sit up, but was stopped by the pain that shot through his body. Oh, man, he hurt. That last shock hadn't killed him, but his body sure ached like it had tried.
Thought we lost you.
A voice said from off to his left. The soft voice he'd heard before. So the voices weren't done with him yet. Not again, Sam told the voice. Why can't you all just leave me alone?
Because you probably would have died if we'd done that.
The voice replied. The voice had just answered him. The voices never answered. They just spoke. He slowly turned his head to that side. So, how are you feeling, kiddo? The nurse standing next to his bed asked, using the voice he had come to recognize and dread. Who are you? Where am I? What's going on? How did you manage to... He trailed off, looking at this lady who was staring at him and adjusting a clear plastic bag hanging on a pole next to his bed. His eyes followed the thin tube connected to the bottom of the bag, followed it down until it connected with his arm, connected with a needle inserted into the bend of his right elbow, exactly where he'd been bleeding before. You were incredibly lucky to survive that car wreck. If you hadn't been wearing your seatbelt, then you'd have been thrown through that windshield just like your... She stopped short and looked at him again. It was a concerned, motherly look. Well, it's not important. You're lucky to be alive anyway. Car wreck? What car wreck? The one in my dream? The nurse wrinkled her nose and gave him an odd look. That was no dream, sweetie. That's more like a nightmare. And from what I understand, you almost died last night in the emergency room, too. Your heart just stopped. The doctors had to shock you to get your heart started. Shock me? An eerie thought was beginning to creep up Sam's spine and nudge its way into his brain. Yes, Sam. They had to use the defibrillators to get your heart beating again. If they hadn't, you'd be dead right now. And that's where it stops.
I knew it.
Told you, it stops right in the middle of a conversation. But if you use foreshadowing, you can figure out exactly what happened in the story. Where does the last scene take place?
The hospital.
In a hospital. Who were the voices the entire time?
The doctor.
The doctors, the surgeon, the nurses, the paramedics, and stuff like that. Because where has Sam been during all this? In a coma and something like that in the hospital. And so everything that was happening to him, he was sort of bringing in from real life. So, oh, and by the way, what happened to his parents? How do we know that? Two parts. What happens at the beginning of the story?
His dream or nightmare.
The dream nightmare of them in a car wreck. And what happens at the very end? Tyler?
The doctor goes, has a stuttering and goes, well, you're lucky to be alive.
Nicely done. So referring to the fact that others were not so lucky to be alive. Now, knowing that, we can go back and pick up on all the foreshadowing that happened throughout the story. One, when he sees those white lights, when he's sitting in his science class, when one eye goes completely white and he feels a pressure on his eye, and then the other eye goes completely white and he feels a pressure on the eye, what's that coming from?
Headlights?
Not headlights, but a good
Airbag.
guess.
Airbag?
Not the airbag either. It all comes from the pressure he's feeling. Uh-huh.
When you go to the doctor to make sure you're
Nicely done. Because, wrong direction. Prior to that, the voices had said, we're coming, and then they're all dead. That'd be the paramedics arriving on the scene of the crash, and then he kept running up, and apparently his parents were not wearing seatbelts, and are all chewy. He was like, they're all dead. And then all of a sudden they come over to here like, we're coming. But then they see him still sitting in the car, so they're checking to see if he's still alive. Hence, pulling open the eye, shining the light into it, pulling up the other eye, checking. So the same thing, that's why his goes from one eye to the other. And then all of a sudden in that same scene, when they're going, they're all dead, who is it that the voices are talking about? There you go. Then, when he has the blood, when he's at lunch, and he has the little fountain right there, and he goes all kaspookity, why is it going kaspookity? Reeves?
Because they put the needle in his arm.
Nicely done. Now, here's where the voices changed. The voices didn't talk about death during that. You remember what the voices talked about?
Fighting.
They said, stop fighting it. Why were the voices saying, stop fighting it?
Because he was fighting.
Oh, you're trying to... It hurt.
There you go, because remember he was like trying to swipe at it. He's like, tomorrow we'll finish out our last bits and then give you a chance to work on your book report.